I ended up being diagnosed with stage 3 cervical cancer in April. And I had stage 3 because it spread out of my cervix and into my lymph nodes. Cancer for me was a way of like me being reborn in a sense. There's so many things that's like a little bit more clearer. My mission, my vision, my purpose is more clearer. Mike, what? 1, 2, 1, 2.
What's your name?
My name is Kiara Monique.
Okay.
Am I looking at the camera? I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a mom, model, a teacher, a student, an enthusiast of life.
What have you sacrificed to do it?
Things you sacrifice to be a mom, being a model, like are the things that you've had to sacrifice in order to make that actually end up working out?
I think I've sacrificed
Being 25 years old, a young person.
I feel like I've
something.
sacrificed my youth.
You don't think you also had a good time with the
I do, but I feel like I grew up really fast. So and like with my like modeling and with having a kid, it's like I don't get to just go out and party and have fun and just be like, ooh, like I do go out and party and have fun, but it's not like with as less worries as like with it's like I sacrifice my youth because it's like with modeling, it's like I have my son, I have my modeling and stuff to do, and then I have my classes, and it's like if I do go out and have fun, I have to make sure I'm responsible the next day.
Yeah.
I can't just like go out and have fun and just be like, oh, I pay my rent. I don't live with my mom. I don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sacrifice my youth to fulfill my dream in a sense.
Kiara Michelle, how do you say it?
Michelle.
Michelle. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. So what were you saying? We were just talking about how when Italians came, well, a lot of people, but Italians came to America, how like they changed the way that they would say the name.
Right, like so all the names basically got Americanized. So my last name's Michelle, but in Italian it's Moschiella. But everybody here would pronounce it Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moschiella is nice though.
Moschiella, right?
Yeah,
I like that. I like that more.
Like Versace
Michelle,
is
right?
nicer than Versace too.
Versace,
it's just
right?
so much better.
They try to take the oomph.
The flair away.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a language thing. So you're Italian?
Yeah, half and half. I'm Italian and black.
Okay. Well, like, have you done the 23andMe and shit so you know for a fact?
Well, actually, I haven't.
It'd be interesting to see.
Right.
Even though, like, one of my friend John, who came on the podcast, made a really good point that was just like, yeah, they're going to end up taking those fucking gene markers and it'll be a part of your insurance that you had no idea you're now going to end up paying more money for and shit like that, which I believe, but I did it. And I'm a mutt. Like, I'm mainly Italian and Filipino, but I'm black, I'm fucking Iberian, I'm German, I'm all these different things.
Yeah,
so,
well, I can imagine that what mine is because I know I'm a mutt without that. So I connect with more like Italian and black because like on my mom's side. So my mom's side is Italian, Irish, French, Canadian. Okay. And then on my dad's side is black, Indian, and Greek. So I'm a mutt without the...
Indian Native American or Indian?
Native American.
Okay, word. Okay.
So I'm a mutt already without having to do the test. So I can imagine what the test would show to me though.
Yeah, you're good though because you could float around the world and like... kind of fit in a lot of places. Like I kind of have the same thing where like I'm definitely not local to wherever I'm at in the world, but like I could fit in with a lot of different cultures.
Right.
Everyone ends up like the amount of people that start speaking Spanish to me is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I get that so much too.
And they just start going like,
I know, right? Like they don't even ask if you speak it. Like they just look at you and automatically assume that you speak it.
Yeah. So I work at a restaurant like only like a handful of days a week just for extra money. And like the entire staff will just start speaking to me in Spanish, and like I was like, no habla español. No habla. I kind of understand what they're saying, but yeah.
I feel like I should know Spanish by now because I've had like a lot of Spanish friends and stuff, and even my son has Spanish. Like he has half Spanish. So
does he speak any? You can tell though. That's the other,
yeah, I know.
That's the other thing with the headphones.
Yeah.
The headphones, like you know when you are being heard or not.
That's good.
But yeah, so does he speak any?
No, he doesn't.
No.
Yeah, sadly. I want him to though.
Yeah.
So he could take fully in his culture, learn everything there is. His dad is half Spanish and half Jamaican, so he doesn't.
So does his dad?
No. Okay. So I think that's like a big part of why he doesn't speak it.
Yeah, for sure. But
maybe.
that's the one I feel like would be the most helpful to learn, especially like in America.
Right.
It's used so often.
Right. It's the second most spoken language.
Yeah.
English and then
Yeah.
Spanish.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I wish I grew up learning a second language. My my little sister is full Filipino, so she's 13 now, but my dad remarried another Filipino woman after, and then he spoke Filipino, but like Tagalog was never spoken in the house when I grew up. There was no need to know it. My mom knows some Italian, but there's no need to speak in the house.
Yeah.
So then I'm just American.
Yeah. There you go.
Not too bad. Yeah. So I guess so. Wait, whose music video was that at when we first met? Remember on that like party bus thing?
Yeah.
That's when we met.
Yeah.
My boy Kenji knew the dude that was shooting the music video, and then you remember who it was?
Yeah. I feel really bad that I don't.
I'll ask Kenzie later, and I'll tag him in this. But
yeah, because he's actually that's actually how I ended up getting in the video too. So, yeah.
Through Kenji or through Yeah, Kenji's a good dude. I haven't seen him in a while.
I know, right? I haven't either.
Yeah.
Not even on social media. He
had cancer too, so he stays like dipping in and out. And
cancer, oh my god, it's like it's the word of the word. Like I feel like it's like, you know, when you get a car and it's like you never saw that car before, and then once you get it, you see like everybody with it, or you see it everywhere. It's like that with cancer. I feel like once I like, obviously it's something that's it's
like
big,
you're a
it's
cusp of
major,
it, so it's kind of it'd be helpful, even if it is all bullshit. But like if it wasn't, then it would be helpful to understand yourself a little bit more,
right?
Or at least how people, because I'll tell you, fucking an evolved sign of anything can get along with any other sign and could be great,
right?
But there's definitely levels to that shit, and like cancers can be I'm a cancer, like they can be a fucking handful, like.
Yeah,
I'm always too deep for the intro.
I know. I was
hence why I'm like, you know, I should have been a psychologist, and I'm not going back to school for that. So at least I could still, you know, get my rocks off here.
I was probably like the only third grader that wanted to be a psychiatrist when I grew up.
In third grade?
Yeah, in third grade. Yes.
Really? How come?
Yeah, because I always just had the like want to help people.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like I was like growing up, I was like kind of like that like lonely kid. So it was like that always wanting to like be there for everybody. It made me want to be that. So it's like, I think that's why. It's like a psychiatrist I knew was like, it's help people. Like they talk to people, they help them with their problems.
Yeah. And then the thing is though, maybe the silver lining is like, because a lot of times the dope people that would be talked to, that you could talk to and like that you'd want to help, they're not necessarily the ones that end up in the chair in front of you. So like you might end up having to spend like many hours a day talking to like some dipshits that are too fragile to really tell them the truth or whatever, you know? So I'd rather like, hey, you know, come over. let's just chill in my living room, have a drink. I can't have a drink with you if you're my patient.
Right, exactly, you know? Exactly. That's
which
why
would be so helpful.
Right, exactly. I know, you know.
And here, pull this back just so you can lean forward.
Okay, I know, you know. But right, that is so true. That's why I like that. Like now, you know, now I see that. Like I want to help people, so like now I say I don't want to do it in the way of like being a psychiatrist, but now I feel like I can still do that in different ways, in ways that it's more.
And you're a mom,
right? I know, I love it.
Like that's the number one. It's the biggest. Like women have the most important job in the world. They make all the people,
creating life.
And then like especially if you're a mother, like it's so important to be nurturing. Like. Right. I'm sure you have moments every single day where it's like you'd want to slap them or you want to tell them like the real way, and it's just a different thing when you're raising a child, like a different way to get them to understand it.
It
and
really is.
Half the time it's just not even telling them something, it's just acting a certain way yourself so that like you lead by example. Exactly,
because I say that like kids, and I know my son, speaking for him, he definitely follows more of actions than words. You know what I mean? I can be like, sit down, and he's not gonna listen. But if I sit down and relax, then he might just sit down and relax it. You know, just give an example of how they follow our actions way more than what we're like saying.
Like my mom. So when I have a scar, and I think it's this eyebrow. Like when I was younger, I was playing hide and go seek with my brother, and I was in my parents' room, and the door was cracked open like just a little bit. And so I was like peeking out of the crack, but my brother was already on the other side of the door. And I didn't see him, and he opened it up and the doorknob just whacked me. And like right here, whenever you get a cut, like it is full on gush blood.
Like, you might not be able to see it, but
Not really. Well, that's good. Right? You can't see it, but like full on face covered in blood. And like my mom, like she like was so good about it because she went, and I think I was hysterical at first, and then I calmed down because she was really calm. She like went, she got like a red towel specifically, so I wasn't gonna be like, Jesus Christ, like look at this. And she told me many years later, she's like, I was so fucking freaked out and nervous, but they always say like, don't. Your kids are gonna react to the way that you're acting, and they'll freak out if you freak out. And you see it all the time. Like a kid falls down and like looks to the parent to be like, and if the parent's like, "Are you okay?" Like
then
they'll start crying or something. But if they're like, "You're fine, get up," maybe if it really hurts, then they'll keep going with it or something. But otherwise, they're pretty relaxed.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I always tell my son, I'm like, get up, shake it off. There's no blood, there's no broken bones, you're good.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Right,
doesn't
exactly.
Hurt. And
it's definitely the nurturing part. It's like, I know, like for a parent, I say like for me, like that nurturing part, it's like natural. And on top of like me just always wanting to be there for people, so having like now my own person in a sense to be there for, to like, but it's also very hard. Like, being a parent, like, there's those natural instincts, but there's also like that, you know what I mean? You were taught one thing, and then you also have what you want to be taught, and then it's also like life changes, the world changes, so it's like having to, you know what I mean? Like, it is definitely hard. It's definitely hard at moments. It's like you're a teacher and you're being taught at the same time, Yeah. Like you're a teacher because you're there to, instill all these morals and ways for them to go by and stuff and help build them. But then it's also like you're being like, taught because I'm learning that certain things. Right, exactly. Like I always say too, until the day that we're no longer here on this earth, then that's when there's nothing else to be learned, or, you know what I mean? Yeah. But there's always something to be learned. So there's still things I may be showing him that, hey, this isn't the right way, or this is the wrong, or this is right and this is wrong. But then he's teaching me something also. Like, for instance, I always say this because this is just mind blowing to me. Like, my son, so he's 6 years old. And
he's 6?
Yeah, he's 6. Wow. And I think he was actually 5 at the time when he said this to me. It was like a commercial, and it was on cigars, or like cigarettes or something. And he was like, Mama, he was like, if they're not good for you, why do they make them for us? And like, friends, like, that's a hard question I feel like to answer as a parent, because like you want to be like, of course, they're not good for us. Why do they make and put something in the world for us that's not good for us? How do you explain that? Like, what's your... Honestly, I'd let him know that there's a lot of things that's gonna be not good in the world. There's good and there's bad, and it's more so on for you to decipher and to, just because it's in your face just because it's in your face doesn't mean you have to do it. You know what I mean? It's it's like. That's
a good little lesson to get under your belt at 6 or at 5.
Right, the fact that he asked me that showed me too of like his mind.
His awareness of it. Yeah,
like. I like that he asked that, it's like he knows that obviously it's something bad, but still being put first,
Yeah, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah, I bet you get those like every day, all the time. Yeah,
he is super, super smart. I have like, he wants to know everything. Like, so I have like that super, super like, what's this? What's that? How come it's that? Like, it's green, but why is it green? It's green because that's the color of it, but why is that the color of it?
Yeah, and then it just keeps going. They all have a stage like that too, where it just doesn't end.
Talk,
It's so awesome. Do you have him full time alone, or?
Well, his dad is actually, he's 100%. I say actually because like just life,
Yeah.
I'm thankful that he does have his dad in his life. So I got like, mascara in my eyes. But yeah, he's with me during the week. Like he's with Monday through Friday, do like the school stuff, and then he's with his dad every weekend.
Word.
Yeah, so it's good. Yeah, we have
not too far away or nothing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's good, and they have an awesome relationship, which I think is great.
Yeah, I mean, we all know about daddy issues and mommy issues that goes for men and women.
Exactly. Because I'm happy you said that, like, for men and women, because I feel like how we mentioned that mother instinct and stuff, people get like think that, sometimes forget that just as well as like dads not being there, that there have been like mothers that's done the same thing, and just for parents
and like it. The way it filters out, like unless someone brings it up or they are in therapy and it gets spoken about, like it's not necessarily something that a normal person would sit back on their couch and like take a few steps outside of themselves to be like, well, what did not having this parent around actually do to me? And how does that, like I love looking at that kind of shit, but like how does that actually come out in my life, in either how I treat women or how I treat men now, or why I'm friends with these kinds of people? Like it makes a big difference. And I really believe like it doesn't just stop at mommy and daddy issues. Like, you got a best friend that's addicted to drugs and you're worried about dying, or that you haven't solved a certain relationship with, or something like that. Like, that's gonna fuck with you on a lot of levels too. Or a brother that's in that situation, or a sister. And like, if they're alive, like if your parents are alive, and it's hard because I talk to some people and they describe their relationship with their parents to me, and I'm almost like, well, shit, I don't even know how the fuck I would be able to touch that conversation with my parent if they were like that with a 10-foot pole, like super religious, could never get out of a certain mindset. Me, like my parents, my mom will probably watch this.
Yeah,
like my mom and I are very, very close, and my dad and I just started fixing everything up over the last 10 years where like it's like normal. It's like a normal relationship. It wasn't when we were younger, but like I kind of knew that like I'd always be broken to a certain extent if my father was alive and I didn't fix it.
Right.
And I don't want to be on my like deathbed being like, why, you know, why did I waste all that time? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it molds us. Our parents mold us into who we are. You know, like for instance, me, I mean, my mom and dad, well, you know, my mom's white, my dad's black. My mom was 16, my dad was 15. Like, they were really young. When my dad ended up getting arrested when I was 3 for 11 years. So my mom was a single, you know, parent at 16. Away? Yeah,
damn.
So, you know what I mean?
And then he grew up in jail. That's
he grew up in jail, basically. And my mom grew up with having a kid. She didn't have the best support system either. So, you know, I grew up in, you know, some rough patches. Like, we living like different homes, shelters, like all of that, you know. But it made me who I am. It helped mold me, you know. I'm forever grateful for that. Like, I like to look at things and be like, oh, how this or that. Like, I analyze everything. I'm an analyzer to the fullest. So I like to look at that too, and I like to see that. Even though, like, dang, in certain moments we'd be like, oh, I wish I didn't have to go through this. But you also, like, acknowledge that if I didn't go through that, where would I have been? You know what I mean? Yeah. I always say that,
adversity really helps, make a strong person.
It really, really does. Like, I get a lot of people that, especially, like, for me, like, how I am, like, of trying to spread, like, this good energy and trying to keep a smile, or trying to at least show people to be able, or trying to help people be able to smile more so. It's because, like, I've always been, like, one thing people have always said to me is, like, I don't understand how you have, like, how you're able to have your smile with going through what you've been through, with the places where I'm from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That alone.
Where are you from?
I'm from everywhere. Like, I always say Boston. I moved a lot. So, like, you know, me and my mom, we lived, like, in shelters. But we lived, like, you know, like, in the projects, in the hood. It wasn't, like, you know, I didn't live in, like, the suburban areas or anything, you know what I mean? So when people see that I'm smiling, or that, like, you know, I'm, like, bubbly, or I have, like, my little ditzy personality at moments, people will be surprised. They're like, oh, how could you come, like, from the hood or from, like, the projects and all that and grew up there your whole life and be like this? Or how could you still keep that smile? Or, you know what I mean? But I feel like that's, like, it's for a reason, to show that there are other ways, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Right, like, things mold you, but you don't have to only take on the negative things that mold you.
Not at all.
Right.
And, like, it also, like, one of the things that, actually, it was when I did ayahuasca that it became very apparent, but, like, I learned early on was, like, if this is ground zero for your emotional spectrum, like, you will never have a day this good if you haven't had a day that bad.
Right.
And, like, when you grow up going through some shit, I mean, there's a whole nother conversation to be had about how that ends up filtering out of you, but at the same time, like, you really know what a good day is like. And even if it's not, like, overly great, you're just more thankful for shit.
Right.
Like, people who see the world and who go through shit just become more thankful for things. And, like, it's easier to be happier about it when, like, because you know the shit end of the stick. Like, it's
you
not
can't know
all
a good
fucking
day without
butterflies.
a bad day, and you can't know a bad day without a good day.
Yeah.
I always say that. But I like to always, like, to, like, with that also, like, we're also different. It, like, my bad day may not be your bad day. You know, like, your bad day may actually be, like, a good day to me. That may seem like a bad day to you.
For sure.
Like, that's the hardest part too, understanding that. I feel like, you know,
especially then, because then it's like, most of the time when people are arguing, they're arguing not over what they're actually talking about. And so, like, for example, like you might want to tell someone like it's not that bad, you should be enjoying it or whatever, but to them they never had a day that bad, so this is registering for like as like an 8 out of 10 for a bad day for them. And for you're like, yo, that barely touches a fucking 2. This is actually a good day.
But you know what, I honestly, that's something I want to push though, is for us to be more understanding in that aspect of things, because I even had like some friends that like would hit me up like when I was going through treatment and stuff, like, or going like not feeling as good I'm feeling right now, you know. And they would be like, they would be going through it but not want to talk to me, because they'd be like, but you're going through it way worse. And I'd like want to, you know, kept wanting to share to them like, I'm not going through worse, we're both going through it, and that's just what it is, you know what I mean? Like, it's affecting me one way, and what you're going through is affecting you one way. It's both pain, it's both hurt, we're both feeling pain, we're both feeling pain, we're both feeling hurt, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be one's more than the other. It should never be that, you know. We can never truly understand each other if we're doing that, if we're like putting what we're going through, who's going through this more or less, you know what I mean? Like, how could you understand what I'm going through if you're thinking what you're going through is more than me? You know what I mean? It
doesn't let the conversation have like a even ground to like hash out what it is, because you're like throwing like rocks on the side of the scale for like their problems, and you're perceiving it the way you perceive their problems, not even the way they do, and then it just like it blocks up the conversation.
It does.
So I pay attention to you, and I do know like some shit happened you went through, but like I would love to kind of like, and you just got good news too, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So can you like kind of break it down for me? Because I mean, I'll just say I've had like the utmost respect for you, because after we met and I started actually it was probably after we met that you really started. Remember I DM'd you one day and I was like, if you keep throwing pictures with like this level of professional, I'm like, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And then the ball really started rolling. I really love some of the shots too. So like doing that, being a mom, especially when you're a mom, it's mostly like single mom, right? So it's good that he's in the picture, but that, and then I saw this other shit was going on. So like, what happened?
Life.
Yeah.
Literally, I went from like they said, like doing my modeling, being a mom. I also go to school too, you know, so and trying to work and hustle, because obviously modeling doesn't pay everything, especially when you're starting up, you know. So it's like trying to do all that. So I went from just like bam, 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 trying to make this dream a reality, to then like a big just like halt and everything. It was like, oh. So I was like having some health issues. Like I wasn't really feeling healthy. But me, just because I was always just like on the go, and I know I wasn't eating healthy and getting as much rest, I was just thinking it was that, like, you know, like, oh, I'm just not healthy. Like that's just what it is. But still going on the move, still not really taking the time to make myself more healthy. And then like the doctor visits started happening, and you know, and so you start getting those calls like, so it's precancerous. You just want to check it again, and then get those calls.
So what exactly was it?
So I ended up being diagnosed with stage 3 cervical cancer in April.
Damn.
Yeah. So cervical cancer is something that the highest
most people get it.
Yeah, most people. Sorry. Most people get it from HPV. And
okay.
HPV.
Oh yeah. They tell you about that back in the day, like how men can have it and it's no big deal, but when women get it, it can lead to that.
It affects your cervix, and obviously guys don't have cervix, so it doesn't affect you guys. And what's crazy is it can go untested in you guys too. And there's so many different strands of HPV. So for instance, there was no way like to tell which strand of HPV caused the cervical cancer. There was no way to even tell how long I had the HPV. So there was no way you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
like everybody has it too,
exactly,
right?
that was
basically everyone has
basically
HPV.
Everybody has it. 1, 2, it's also something where like you can't protect yourself from, meaning like the only way to not is to never have sex ever. Yeah, basically, because it's not it's not something that like, oh, you have to use a condom to protect. It's skin.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? It's so it's like you can be fully
bubble.
protected, you can do everything and still have the possibilities of of getting it. So
that was April 18?
April is when, I don't remember the exact date.
2018
April was last year. This all happened so fast. It's
damn.
So crazy how fast, like it's just so crazy. What's the crazy part is like, so I was being on, like once I did start being like, okay, I really gotta start like figuring out what's wrong with my body. I went in, I'd say like October or September, and I got, it's called a vaginal ultrasound. So when they check up and stuff up there, and everything was fine. Like everything looked fine. They're like, eggs, everything, you got a million of those. Like I was like, oh yay. Word. So I'm like, everything is good. There's nothing wrong. And then look,
Look, 4 months later, not even like 4 months later, I have stage 3. There's only 4 stages of cancer. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ended up spreading from my cervix to my lymph nodes. And that's why I had to, that's why I was considered stage 3. Mm-hmm. And that's why as soon as
But they caught it before it morphed, and then they saw it had morphed?
Well, no, they
caught it at 3.
They caught it at 3.
Damn.
Yeah. So so it's like the process. So once they find out you have cancer, then you go through the process of, okay, how far along is it, and all of that. So once they saw that I definitely had cancerous cells, mm-hmm. then I had to go through. It took like about over a month for me to the process. The process took about a month. Mm-hmm. Sorry, getting all tongue twisted. Took about a month to get to the point where they was like, okay, you have stage 3, mm-hmm. and I had stage 3 because it spread out of my cervix and into my lymph nodes. And I didn't, so I that's why I had to do chemo and radiation. So stage 1 and stage 2, you had the option of getting surgery, and they just cut out a piece of your cervix.
Like where the cells had begun to
like
multiply?
what's cancer, where the cancer is, they just like cut that out. But since mine had spread to my lymph nodes, I didn't have that option because they can't cut all that out. I won't be able to be here, like, you know?
Yeah.
So that's when they set me up. I got like I had 6 chemo treatments, and then my main treatment was radiation. So I had external and internal radiation. I had to go to external radiation every day, Monday through Friday, every single day. And then every Friday I had chemo. And then the internal radiation, that was like the ending, the like last part of my treatment. And that was when they had to like insert something inside of me and like pinpoint right at where the cancer
area
is.
Yeah.
So that was extreme. That was like the scariest part for me because I was like, oh my God, it's like something oh man. And it's like having to stay in the hospital and stuff.
Yeah, and you're coupled with the fact that like you have cancer.
Exactly.
Wait,
exactly.
so
I think honestly it took so long for me to even be like, I have cancer. Yeah. I think it took until like after I even finished treatment to really even like I've said it and I spoke about it. Like even when I shared it to like the world and stuff, it wasn't until like a little bit after.
Yeah.
And it was only like in moments and like little in parts, you know.
It's almost like when someone passes away, how like it don't really feel real sometimes until like it does, but then it's like you don't really feel that until a certain time later on, and like. You know, it's easier to put up a front sometimes because it hasn't hit you yet.
Exactly.
But, so hang on, just because it could be like really helpful to some people, like what were you feeling before you ever started going to the doctor? That was the feeling of like you thought you were just maybe more run down, or maybe you just weren't having the best diet or whatever. What was physically going on with you?
One thing that popped out the most to me was like my sleep. Like I was like. Everybody knows me as like, okay, I can do a gig until like 3 a.m, and then I'm getting up at 8 or 9 the next morning or whatever, then right back at another gig, like still just on the go, you know what I mean? Or even if it's not doing a gig until 3, if we're like out having drinks, just living life, I still could get up and do what I had to do. Mm-hmm. I wasn't able to do that really anymore, you know what I mean?
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So I wasn't able to do that anymore, you know. I was like literally this was something to me that pointed out I was sleeping like way more, like I was just so tired. Yeah. Like I would sleep a whole night and wake up tired as if I didn't sleep at all. Yeah. Like I would get my son to school, I would like get home and I would like normally do like my little morning routine and I smoke and stuff. So, you know, I would like smoke. And then, you know, I
make sure I have everything ready for my guests.
Yeah, I won't deny that. But so like I would do like my little regular routine and then be like on the go and do what I had to do until he got out of school. But instead it was like I would get him to school, do my morning routine, and then I'd be like back in bed sleeping and getting up and get him, and it just like something wasn't right. And I also like for females, like, so I was also bleeding, well obviously females, cervical cancer, but I was also bleeding a lot
like
and I had a birth control
and shit?
I had birth control actually. And I had the Nexplanon, the like implanting arm, so that you don't after like the first few months you don't bleed or whatever. So I wasn't bleeding for like a couple years, so I didn't get a period. So the fact that I did get one and then it wasn't stopping, like I was literally bleeding for almost a year. Like, I started bleeding in the summer, and I didn't stop bleeding until April, May, until, like, after, like, once I started treatment and stuff like that. Yeah. So, yeah, so from the summer of... from the summer of 2018. From the summer of 2018 till the beginning of the year in 2019, I was bleeding. So that was like another thing too.
Yeah, I mean that's like right in your face too.
Right, exactly. But that's what I mean. I went to I got the vaginal ultrasound because of me bleeding so much. So that was like the first little sign was that, and there was nothing wrong, you know. So it's like it's kind of weird like that too. Like I don't know what point did it just spike up to stage 3 or you know. It's like
yeah. Did they name out any other symptoms that were like kind of came with that kind of cancer? That
yeah,
later
like so
on
like
you were
your
like, oh shit,
your
yeah,
stomach,
I felt
like
that.
stomach, like stomach cramps, certain pains in your stomach, certain discharge, like for females and stuff. Like so they know like just certain discharge and stuff to look after to your bleeding and like pains in your stomach and even like back pains and into like your energy levels.
Yeah,
Those are
damn.
like the biggest things.
But also things like it might have actually been kind of like a saving grace that you did have the birth control implant, because if you didn't, that could have gone for a lot longer before you decided to check it out, because you just could have thought this is just my woman things being different schedule and maybe I'm getting older.
No, I would have definitely, because I was bleeding. I actually started bleeding a lot, even like it was like chunks, like so it ended up coming to find out like my cervix was bleeding.
Damn.
You know, so that's why I was bleeding so much. So it wasn't a period. It wasn't like, so I was.
So you're probably at like
two
getting to 3 when it started to bleed.
Yeah, probably.
Something like
right.
that, yeah. So what was the test that was it like a chemistry? Like they went and did a swab and tested
it's
that?
called a COPO. Well, COPO was just kind of like the...
It's almost like it should be mandatory at a specific age, considering everyone has it.
So that's what pap smears are for females. Yeah, that's for
women. I'm out of the loop.
No, it's okay.
I'm out of the loop.
Well, that's what pap smears are for. You know, they have like a certain age. Once you get to that age group, that's when you start getting your pap smears and stuff to just check on that. So I got a pap smear because I was bleeding so much. So I got a pap smear. And, my pap smear was abnormal. Let me rephrase that. My pap smear was abnormal. So then when your pap smear is abnormal, what they do is, the like shortened word for it is called a COPO. So they do a COPO, and what they do is like they go in there and they take like a little piece of tissue, and that's what they like do the test on. So that little piece of tissue that they went in there and got in there is how they were able to tell that the cells were cancerous.
Damn. And then... just because I'm over here grinding on a passion too, so like things like insurance and whatever, when you go from making 6 figures to damn near nothing, you know, is difficult. You have a son, so like you're 25, so you're still on parents' insurance?
No, I'm on my own insurance. Very independent.
Because like what a fucking wrench would be thrown into the machine if you didn't have insurance that happened.
I'm so thankful I did. And they have like social workers and stuff also that help with that. You know what I mean? So that you don't have to deal with that while like you're, you know, obviously like they want you to be less.
But it's still like a public defender. It's
exactly.
It's
still exactly like, for instance, you know, like I it's just me and my son at my place, you know, I pay for my own rent and stuff like that. So I did need like the extra help because I wasn't, you know, I'm a gig worker. You know, I don't have like a 9 to 5, and even if I had a 9 to 5, I definitely wasn't able to do it, you know? So it's like I did need that extra help and stuff, and it was very hard, like for me, like admitting that, like because I'm like such that like so like I'm always on the go, I'm like independent, like I'm always that person and have to make sure I got it, like you know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't know, that definitely, it definitely was a big It was more so too like after everything too, you know, having to get back on track where it's like. You know?
Did you feel reinvigorated though? Like I'm getting another chance?
I did. I actually did. I actually do. And I do. I actually feel like cancer for me was a way of like me being reborn in a sense. Like I'm still me, but there's so many things that's like a little bit more clearer to me. You know, I feel like my mission, my vision and everything is just more clearer. My purpose is more clearer.
For sure.
You know, I feel like too I was maybe moving a little bit too fast. So it's like, even though that's like, dang, I want to wish cancer on nobody and I wish I didn't have to go through it. But at the same time, it, like I said, taking the good out of things that are bad. Like, that was something that put me way back, you know, mentally, physically, everything. Like, you know, but at the same time, it's like, it also put me back to a point where I needed to start better, like in a sense, you know, or that fresh start, like said, like that new, like, you know, where it's like, okay, like you can't play, like those moments where, you know, you're like, oh, whatever, like now it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, no, I can't
Like I
do
might
that.
not
Or,
have that moment.
exactly. Or like when I'm like, oh, feeling lazy and like, oh, let me just sit here. Then I'm like, Kiara, you had no option but to just sit there. You know, you couldn't even have the strength to get up.
Take a break.
So now it's like, I don't know. I just like I want to take more advantage of things, and like I've always been a free spirit. You know what I mean? But I think I need to like have more structure on my free spirit. I think that's what it was. Cancer, like how that, like, because it's cool to be that. I love being free spirit. That's me. But you need that structure in your free spirit too.
I mean, you're also at a very important time, right? That's why I asked how old you were, because it's like between 23 and 27, I mean, your body is gonna completely change, like, and you're gonna get accustomed to the way it's gonna be, mainly more moving forward. So like being more healthy and everything, right? Like a lot of things are really changing in that time, including like how much you go out, like what actually gets what is a good weekend for you. Like now I'll be like, spend some time in the garden, go for a hike, hit the beach. Like I don't hit the club like that anymore. Like I still go out and have a good time, don't get me wrong, but like I've slowed the fuck down. I used to live way too fast.
Right, exactly. That's how I feel. And then like right now, so I mean, I'm done with treatment. I'm so thankful. Like there's no cancer right now as of Friday in my body, right? So I'm so thankful for that. But there are things.
Cheers.
Right? Cheers. Yeah.
That is something to cheers for.
It is. But there are like there's things that it's a hard thing. When you do cheers, you gotta like I do eye contact.
Always. And I don't say it unless they don't look, but you look, so I didn't have to say it. But 100% always. And there will be people that watch this episode that go, oh yeah, he called me out on it a million times. Because it tends to go, I call you out on it, then the next time you see me, you go like this.
Like,
and then the third time though, you forget and I call you out on it again, and now you are someone that makes eye contact for cheers for the rest of your life.
You know, that's happened to me. That's why I said it.
You got called out.
Like, oh man.
Word. But like, that's a cheers moment for sure.
Right. But there are like, so it's like I am still learning though, like certain things. Like my body is different. Like it is fresh start. So I'm 25. Like I am going through menopause right now. You know, I'm not able to have kids anymore. There's like so many things that
because of that.
Yeah. Well, because of the radiation. It radiated my ovaries and everything because I got my treatment down here. So it radiated all that. And then on top of that, so if I, life, universe, you never know. It's not, they can only, it's chances. It's always just chances. So if, my eggs and stuff if they're still there, then it's still like, okay, my body may not physically be able to hold a baby or, because of the damage and the scar tissue and everything down there. Damn. And then the whole menopause thing, oh man, that's fun. Hot flashes. Woo!
Fucking shit. My mom will be laughing when she hears
summer
this.
All year round.
Yeah. My mom will be dying laughing when she hears this part. She's got a little bit Magna on the fridge. It's just like, I don't need to take vacations. Like,
it's cool. Like, I got a fan right next to my bed. Like, literally, like, right there.
That's intense, though. Like,
it really is. It really is. Like, so I have to take hormones for the rest of my life because obviously being 25, it's supposed to be going through menopause. And I always like, I say we because like I know me, I always related menopause with like, okay, you don't get your period no more, like mood swings, hot flashes. But I guess there's like so much more to it. Once you reach menopause, your body doesn't produce certain things anymore.
Yeah, that like, you just need for your body.
Exactly, to help just for my bones, for instance. You know what I mean? So now I have to take hormones to supplement that my body's not naturally giving to me.
And so, do you still take birth control? Does birth control fuck with the hormones that you do?
No, I don't take birth control. Well, I mean, right now I'm being told I can't have kids anymore, so I'm not taking any birth control. Cause it's not like I can have kids.
Yeah.
But the hormones are their hormones are like estrogen.
Okay.
Female hormone.
Thank God for your son too, though. I mean, because what a hit if you hadn't had a child yet.
Exactly. Because I was like, I kind of like had to like get myself because I didn't want to be like ungrateful, you know what I mean, or be that person. Because I mean, it's hurtful. We're humans, so of course it's like being told like you can't have any kids anymore. What's crazy is I actually felt more hurt about that than being told that I had cancer. I felt more hurt being told that I'm a woman and I can't do what a woman does, exactly. Like we create life. We started this podcast talking about that, right? Like so so to not be able to do that definitely like messed with me a lot mentally. But then it's like I had to remind myself though, like to be grateful and to be thankful that I do have my son, that there are people that they don't even have the opportunity at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And too, just like I want to adopt now. Like, now I'm like that, like so it's just
and you could adopt and like like I definitely have this genetic thing encoded in me that's like, move on the bloodline, like can't wait to be a great father. Well, I can wait, but like can't wait to be a great father, all that. But like adoption is needed. Like more people need to adopt.
Exactly.
And you know, like although I have that like bias kind of like I want my own children thing. If I couldn't 100%, I'm adopting. Or I may still just do it, just, you know, throw a third in the mix.
Right, exactly. Why not? Even if you end up having your own, because I mean, I have my kids, so it's not like I don't, it's not like I need, you know what I mean? I mean, we don't all, but it's like, it's still, for one, just, I've always had like a weakness for kids. I've always had a soft spot for kids before I've even had my son. Like all my friends that's had kids and stuff before me, they always can speak on this or say this. Like I've always, like I would do anything for any kid. Like that's just me. You know what I mean? They're just, their souls are just like, I would do anything for them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I was like speaking this like like long term, you know, like that I want to be able to even provide like a home for a kid, like for besides like me like adopting kids, like to be like me being their parent and
you
stuff.
were kind of in that situation though where like you needed a home at one point.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And two, knowing that like, you know, my mom had me young, so there were moments that, you know, she was still learning and growing also, you know what I mean? And she needed that help. So it's not to like down people for their mistakes. Some people just they just can't do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they just don't have the strength to, you know? So it's like being able to, but some people, they don't deserve that. Like, you know, a kid, for instance, being brought into their life, like, it's understanding, okay, not understanding. I don't know. It's kind of, it's one of those, like, those tough subjects to talk about.
Depends on the situation and the people.
Like, exactly. You know, but everybody deserves love at the end. That's what I feel like. Everybody deserves love. You know, everybody deserves that feeling to, you know, feel like they have family or to feel like they have someone or to feel like they have, you know, I feel like everybody deserves that. And I would want to, like, how I was saying, besides, like, you know, adopting, like, kids for me and, like, being in my home, like, I also want to, like, along the line in the future, create a space just for like those kids that never get adopted, you know what I mean? But I want them to, like, I don't know, I was just thinking, like, because I'm thinking like, you know, kids that are in like the system and stuff, like little things like just having their own room, you know, like stuff like that, right? Like, you know, like I want to be able to do that, like if I can freaking rent a huge, like one of those old Victorian houses and, you know, just have like them all in there, like, you know, like, but so that they can have their own like room, like somewhere where they can call home, where they don't have to worry about like, you know, not having that, like that, you know,
space,
exactly, and like that security, because that's what home is. Home is security, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like to have that security for them, and like that can that helps. Like that helps so much. Like help create them into being the person that they're meant to be for this world.
Yeah, that would help a lot.
Right.
Like you should.
I am. I'm going to.
We're gonna do another one day, and everything will be different.
And it's exactly. Instead, I'll be saying, you know, like, any donations, we'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be doing a similar thing, but instead of a house, it's gonna be like a gym for the mind. It'll be an art center. So
there you go. See, and we can connect. I'll be like, see, you got activities,
for
keep them out of trouble.
The 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See,
bring people together, create some type of community.
Exactly.
Oh, it definitely is.
Literally.
We didn't inherit the world from our ancestors. We borrowed it from our children. And that was like one of the first quotes that like really made me think about everything in life differently.
Yeah.
And like just it's, you know, like when you litter out the window, it has nothing to do with like fuck the ones that came before it or fuck anyone in my gender. You're fucking over the kids that you haven't had yet.
Right, exactly. Because that's what I say, like my purpose, my like one of my biggest missions of even when I speak of like trying to add more positivity or love into the world is because it's one of the things that helped me, like my love for children and then having my child and having just my loved ones, everybody that I want to help and be there for, is that like I want to help bring more love into this world. You know what I mean? When I'm no longer here, I can leave my son a whole bunch of money. Yeah, I can leave him businesses and stuff that like I plan on starting, all that. Like I can leave him all of that. But what is that if I'm leaving him in a world though with more people that are gonna just try to play him or try to hurt him or try to do him wrong? Instead, I'd rather leave him in a world that is just a little bit, like, obviously, it's not everybody, not saying that everybody got to be perfect, everybody got to be positive, but just a little bit. We just need, I feel like we need a little bit more love right now in this world, like a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, a little bit goes a long way.
Oh, for sure.
And I'd rather leave him in a better world than with bigger pockets, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
I'd rather leave him in a world where someone might try to help him from someone taking that than leaving him with more people that try to take from him or try to do wrong to him, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And like in a lot of ways, like you leave that to him by as a role model, as a mother, and what he learns and takes on from you, just the fact that you are like that, like in a lot of ways, you kind of reflect what you are. Like in the same sense, you know, like an asshole only bothers you if something like really wrong with your day. When you're content with yourself, like things kind of just brush right off if you're having a good day or whatever. And like once you can pass on those types of characteristics and ways to interact with other people, it changes their entire world. The same people that are normally that like asshole that would have tried to take from him or someone that wants to give because they see something different in this person.
Exactly. You know what? It's like it really just takes us to start really acting on those actions, like all of us as people, because like once we really do start showing more love to each other, I feel like it'll be like a chain reaction. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure.
Once people see that, oh, it's okay for me to tell you I like you, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's fine. Like, I can still be me, you can still be you. Like, we can be completely different too, and I can still be like, I like you. That's cool. Like, you know, like once you get over that, then there will like.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
it's got to be a chain
part
reaction.
Of why I like started doing this. I mean, they're like at the end of the, like, so I end up having people that are somehow grinding on something that they're passionate about, because I like to show that kind of like, look at these people having a better quality of life, even though maybe they don't have everything in the world, but they have a better quality of life than some other people do that have a lot more than them, but it's because they're like grinding and working towards something. We've yet to discuss modeling.
Right, and
right, and like so, people like fall in love with Kiara because of like this strong woman behind her and what she's gone through and the type of mother she is and person she is and just the vibe that drips off of her far before they ever realize what she's doing. When I was a kid, I loved the show. Have you ever seen Taxi Cab Confessions?
Yeah.
Okay, there'd be episodes in that where like you would have this stereotype when the person got in the car. And you couldn't help it, especially when I was younger and I would watch it, of like, you know, whether it's a prostitute that gets in there or whatever, and you just immediately start thinking a certain way of what you know about people like that.
Right.
And after the conversation, you're like, holy fuck, was I wrong? And it got less and less as I got older, but I still love those moments where I'm blown away at how wrong I was about somebody. And the fact of the matter is like when everyone like people don't talk like this and for hours and whatever. So it's like when people just are seeing Instagram and pictures of you, and if you're doing modeling, whatever, they all conform to that same what they think of all the other people.
I totally get what you mean, because I actually had someone, it's so funny, right? So I'm gonna make sure they listen to this and they're gonna know. So I actually had someone that said to me that like when they looked at my page, it kind of like felt like, what's the word that they use, like they kind of like they didn't know how to approach me. Like they kind of thought I was gonna be like more like a, like, you know, like one of those like girls
like
that's
about
like,
you.
Yeah, like, you know, like, oh, like not like this down to earth girl like that I am, like more so like, oh, like, you know, like more probably like stink or like snobby and stuff, like, oh, like too good or something, like, you know, like that's what. Even though I hope people, I don't like people to get that from a page. I don't try to put that out there, but I also learned that means that I need to put a little bit more of like me, my person, like more of. Not there's so many parts of us, you know what I mean? So not saying that, right? Not saying that, not saying that that's not saying that my modeling isn't me or that I'm not being me, but there's so many parts of us, you know what I mean, individually. So maybe other parts that's not just like the artist side or not just like the modeling side of me that I need to display for people to get a better idea.
Instead, I mean, that's why I love this, because like whoever I have on here, it's ultimately to be like an accelerator for their craft in some way. But I'll have a rapper on and someone who doesn't listen to rap and never will listen to rap, but likes and vibes with that person as a person. It's still going to be like, we'll bring you up to someone else who likes rap or follow your page and give you that double tap and the support in a time when you need it. And, you know, that's the other thing. A lot of creatives, when you're grinding early on, you realize like the double tap goes a long way, and you really start seeing who's actually like rooting for you, who's not, because we're not in it for the vanity of it all. We're in it for something else. But when you look at the page, you might not know that when it's just all pictures, you know? But I do think that you do provide like I feel like your stories and things like that are definitely like you always had a smile on, you know, you are spreading positivity, like it is like I'm thankful,
right.
you know, I want to
before you finish, I do want to put this out there because I feel like this is a big thing, and I say this like my mom always says, she's like, sometimes you're such a positive negative person, and like, so I want to put this out there, like when I push positivity, I don't push it as in like I feel like everybody should be positive or you should be happy all the time, or, you know what I mean. I push that because I feel like I'm not gonna front, I'm not gonna push for us to be mad, I'm not gonna push for us to be angry. You know what I mean? I'm going to push for, if I'm mad or angry, I'm going to push that, okay, I don't want to be mad or angry right now. I want to be smiling, laughing. So I'm going to push that because I know that someone else needs that push to be that too. Or to do that, to show that that's the better way to be. You know what I mean?
And it does make it, for every asshole that's like saying like, oh, here we go. Samson's trying to be on, but some people like really need it.
Exactly. And that's why, you know what, that's why like, it's okay. I'll live in my la la land of positivity.
For sure.
Like if I get to push it to be that for everybody else, or to give that little extra, you know what I mean? For people, you know, I got to, because I don't know, I just wanted to clarify that, because I know a lot of people get confused with like pushing positivity all the time, and then as soon as you like do something wrong, they're like, oh, but I thought you were this positive person, where it's like, I'm a human person, you know, I'm human. Positivity, of course, that's a good feeling. I'm pushing something for you to feel good, and I'm not going to push for you to feel bad. Like, you know, that's, I just
the whole like getting your posture correct on social media is such a difficult thing, and it's going to be one of those things that'll be very difficult for us to parent and think we're maybe doing it the right way when we're advising on what your posture should be like on social media. And it's hard, right? Because if my daughter was still living in my house and she wanted to be a model, right? Like there's the models that do it for one reason, the models that do it for another, and then their age, and everything's become difficult. And then if people just get it twisted just based off of like, wait, I thought you're not a real human, you don't get mad too. Imagine all the other shit that they get twisted. There have been things that I hear from people about me from other people that don't know me that I'm just like, whoa,
wow,
that couldn't be more wrong. But at the same time, it's like, you know, don't respond to the comments. Don't even fucking read them.
It's not worth it sometimes. It's not.
Like when I put stuff up, I'm not looking like who like most days, like 9 out of 10 days, I don't look at who looked at my story at all. Once in a while I do, and I go to the bottom just to see all the people that I don't know about that looked at it. Because at the bottom is the people that like you don't interact with that you know about it. But most of the time
I'm learning that still. I'm like, if it wasn't for like my modeling and like, you know, the entertainment world, I really wouldn't be on social media. I really wouldn't, because it's never really been me like that. You know what I mean? I always, like, for instance, even MySpace was like really, you know, I made a MySpace because like my friends was like, oh, girl, I made a MySpace. You know, like Facebook, I made Facebook. I think it was like around the same time, like a little bit after MySpace, like a couple years after MySpace, whatever. And then like even for Instagram, what's so crazy is I made an Instagram because I remember like the phone I had at the time, the camera wasn't working. And my mom was like, oh, I can send you pictures through this app, Instagram. And I was like, oh, yeah, my mom had it and everything first. Like, everybody had Instagram first. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, I like, just had my son and stuff. So I was like, to send pictures back and forth of him. And like, so she can send me the pictures she has taken. And that's how I made an Instagram.
Word. And look where you're at now.
Right. Like, now so it's like, it's so weird. Social media is crazy. Yeah.
I know. I mean, so tell me a little bit more about like the modeling journey. Like, what made you think that you wanted to get into that?
Well, I've always wanted to do modeling, like modeling and acting. So since I was younger, I'd say like the top things that I wanted to be was like a psychiatrist, a writer, and a model.
Well, so I guess maybe back in the day I would have filled that in model with actor, but we have an extremely
that's
similar.
Why exactly like
I used to think the exact same shit.
Right, like because I like
and ninja. I mean, I've always wanted to be a ninja.
Oh yeah.
Always.
See, what? I'm a spy to the fullest. I'm an assassin. What?
Yeah. Oh, they're one and the same. Honestly, definitely one and the same.
But I feel like now though, like, so with my modeling, all those things, like, so when I was younger, wanting to be a psychiatrist, wanting to be like a writer and be modeling and acting. So now I feel like, well, with my modeling now, so I'm doing the modeling. I'm doing the modeling part, and I'm using like me wanting to help people. So I'm using my platform as a model to help people. So like going back to me wanting to be a psychiatrist and me wanting to be a writer and me like writing and stuff like that.
So you write?
That, yeah. A lot of, if you see like a lot of things if it's not like a quote that's from someone else, a lot of things I write, like the captions and little things I've written, like for the post and stuff that I post or for pictures that I've taken.
Word.
Yeah, it's like book coming soon.
yeah, got it.
But like, so like incorporating all that into like my modeling is like, I got a little off track.
Nah, but I mean,
like, I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you're finding a way to take the things that you love doing and you've always wanted to do and just start actually acting on them a little bit. Like if it's a quote here and there and you just match it up, even if it wasn't written for that picture, but let's just like, if it's not good enough to put out into the world now, then when the fuck will it be? And then nowadays, all art, except for painters, sits on a goddamn hard drive. The way we consume stuff is different. So like, what is it, you know, what is it doing? Like you create so you could share it, you know, like you got to put it somewhere. And we're lucky enough to have like a platform like Instagram or whatever too. So it's good.
Right, exactly.
I want to write again. Like I stopped.
Yeah, you got to. It's actually, you know, it's so crazy. So I used to, okay, let's like backtrack. Yes, okay, psychiatrist and be a model and want to do writing. So the psychiatrist, you know, that was just like in my mind. Like I used to try to help all my friends and stuff, you know, but I never did anything to that. So with modeling, when I was younger, like we obviously we didn't have that much money and stuff like that. So I tried to do like some modeling things, but you know, my mom didn't know that much about some of the stuff either. So obviously, like now knowing some of those places were asking for money, and we didn't obviously do it because I didn't have the money to do it or to get into it. But now I'm thinking like older and knowing some of this stuff, it's like, they probably just didn't really want you because you don't need money if they really want you. But we just probably weren't going to the right things. Those are probably scams or I don't know.
For sure.
So, you know, so it's like I never ended up getting to make it in that point, like being younger, or I tried to. And then like with the writing thing, so I used to write all the time, right? Like write all the time. Like I used to write like stories like all the time. Like my friends would have me write like poems for them and their boyfriends. Like my aunt would have me write. Like it was just like I loved writing. Like and then oh man, I'm lost in my thoughts.
It's all good.
But so I actually ended up. So all that I always wanted to do, and then like I just like life happened. You know what I mean? Like the fast life. I definitely got caught up in the fast life. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother story. Like, you know, in the fast life of life. And actually, after I had my son, after I had him, I started going to like little casting calls at like some of the agencies and stuff in Boston. I started going for like little commercial casting things and stuff, and that's when I actually really started. Now I'm taking I got out of that fast life and I had my son, and I like went to like now back to like all these dreams and things that I wanted to do when I was younger, like pop back in my head, you know. And then it's like I started going to things for modeling. I ended up, one of my bestie at the time, his cousin was doing photography. Wanted to get into photography, and I wanted to. It's like it just like the universe just works in mysterious ways. And we ended up getting connected, and we both were trying to pursue something, and it just started from there. And then now it's like, and then a year after, you know, getting into modeling, doing my shoots, now it's like I'm getting back into my writing and wanting, you know, to now combine both like my modeling and shoots together with my writing to create something completely different. You know what I mean? So now it's like, it's crazy how life works, you know, and it does all work out, and timing is everything, and like trusting the process and trusting is everything.
For sure. And like the things that are meant to be and that just work out, it's like when you have 3 options to do something, and the one that you really want, you're like reaching for, and everything about it, don't have enough money, I don't know that person, whatever, seems like it's such a reach. And if you try, I've learned in life, like you could make that work, but you also end up taking some L's along the way throughout the process that make it like not, almost as if it wasn't really worth it. And it's the things that like are so easy to slide into, like that second option that wasn't even, you didn't really make it an option because the third is the one that you wanted, but it was like a friend of a friend, and guy wants to start taking pictures, and you want to start, it's easy to do, and like the things that are meant to be are just easy. So when like those things pop up, you just got to go and do them. Like just open yourself up, and the doors will open. Like,
I like that you said that the things that are meant are easy.
They're easy.
It's so true, because like you ever realize when certain things
and
are happening,
win-win-wins.
It's exactly like when things start getting difficult, or when you start seeing like, oh my God, it took like this whole day for me to just make this little thing happen, maybe because it wasn't meant for that little thing to happen.
And
you know what I mean? So it's like
if you're hell-bent on it, you can make it happen.
Right, exactly.
But now your day's gone and you didn't do a lot or whatever.
I'm a true believer on like, so I'm not really like a religious person. I'm more of like I believe in the universe. That's like my, like, you know, so I feel like that's like the universe trying to You know when like you're trying
trying
to
to
push
tell you.
back something,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, don't go,
Yeah.
and you're like, no, I'm gonna just keep going, I'm gonna keep going, and then obviously there's only so much you can do to be like, don't go, and then when you just let go and you go, you
It's
gotta
so
learn.
much
You
easier.
gotta learn
So
from
like
that.
the nice visualization and put to it is like a river, and when they say go with the flow, so like that option that you want to make happen that isn't easier and whatever,
Yeah.
that's like you hit a rock in the river and you start to swim up river. Like you can do it, you'll be able to go and get to that rock or whatever, but
Right.
like watch how many other things
Right.
don't work out nice and easily because you're swimming upstream. It's a loss in
Exactly.
physical energy and fucking synchronicity type of energy and shit like that too.
Exactly. But you know what though, it's good though, because sometimes you don't see it until after.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that's the cool part. Because like, of course, like, you know, if you've seen it before, then we would all just be good.
Oh,
you
for
know?
sure. But as
We'd
you
be
get a little
prepared.
older, you
do
start to
being prepared.
You
see
start
it.
to notice, especially women, y'all
Right.
got some ill intuition.
Oh, yeah,
so it's
that's
like you start to realize how
you.
much your gut is
Detective.
right for all the times that your gut was right and you didn't listen and you got fucked over. And sometimes
Right.
it's a heavy fuck over
Right.
and you knew you shouldn't have been
Right.
doing whatever. So then you start seeing those times and you start seeing the times that it
Right.
just works out when it's easy.
Yeah.
And then like the way the universe works is
Right.
fucking
Hell
beautiful.
Yeah. What? That's like a big thing for me right now, because I'm like something like that, like, you know, I feel like I consider myself a good person. You know, I
think
consider
you
myself a
seem
good
like a good
person and a
person.
good friend, you know. But I've had like really bad, like I've had some bad, you know, run-ins with people that weren't good friends to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that like now, like speaking on that, like learning, you know, before obviously it took so many, you know, for me to be like, oh, don't care, they're not good, they're not good for you. Those aren't good people. It's not good energy. You know, but now, like literally right now, I'm talking of today, yesterday, like now I can see some of that like more clearly, like of seeing things more clearly. Like now I can see like of that, like that being prepared, like, okay, no, I know that that's not good, or that energy or that those relations, that's not, you know.
And like that's why the next 10 years, even for I'm 30, so but even for me, like the next 10 years is so beautiful. Like even though a lot of people get all twisted up at 30 or whatever, it's like it's around now for our ages that like you had like all those test cases and now finally you're like, I know what data I want to stick with and what I want to roll with. So now it's just about repeating the right things a little bit at a time and being a great person for the rest of the way. Like things work out in funny ass ways,
they
and they
really
work
do.
out more for people who like go that easy way and just go like going with the flow. Like it's be like water is so important.
It's hard though. It's actually it's not that
very
easy
hard.
to go with the flow, because it's like it's going with the flow is just like, I say like I'm not even fully to that point yet. You know what I mean? Where I'm a free spirit. You know, I am a free spirit. I'm like all this like love and like hippie and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like it is hard to those sometimes just go with the flow, because at the same time I'm not in this world by myself.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? I
yeah.
have
You're
the
a
flow. I
mom,
have the
yeah.
flow of others too. You know what I mean? Exactly. Or like you know, I have to. For one thing, like since as a mom, like for a parent, like me being a free spirit, like my son doesn't, he needs more structure than the free spirit side, like, you know what I mean? So it's like that part, you know, of course, like so yeah, the balance, man, the balance is
It'll
everything.
make him great though. Like it'll make him great,
It really
and you can
will.
still go with the flow. Like I don't want to get going with the flow twisted with like not doing the work. Like you can go with the flow and still put in you still got to put in the work if you want something to happen. But it's going with the flow is more like you're putting in the work, and whether that's because your son end up making you late or not able to do this thing, it's more about like okay, instead of it being the end of the fucking world.
Exactly, right.
Like,
As I say, like going with the flow more so as in like understanding things that you can't change or that's not in your hands. Going with the flow where it's like, okay, I'm driving today, get in the car accident.
I
go
used
with
to
the flow.
stick
There's
on
nothing
shit.
I could. Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I say I'm not fully to that point either. Like, as in like even though me being a free spirit and stuff is, I feel like what like one of the things I'm working towards like myself is like being fully at peace. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's what. You know, that's what kind of like it puts a halt on that feeling, is that not fully being at peace with yourself and with things. Because when you are fully or close to fully at peace with yourself and with things, then when little situations like that happen, you know, it doesn't explode or blow up to you as it, you know, to the extent
and that's the kind of shit that like you could teach your son that will make the person that normally takes from him not take from him, because look at his demeanor right now, and most people are normally bugging out or doing something else. It's different. It rubs off on people.
Right.
Do you dream? Do you dream at night when you sleep?
Do I dream?
Yeah.
I do.
You strike me as a dreamer.
I do. I am a dreamer.
I dream intensely, and like a lot of it. And I love to dissect them and write them down.
I know, I do too. Because I honestly, I feel like, well, not feel like, I know I'm an empath. You know, I have my gifts and feelings and energies and stuff. So I definitely my dreams are very deep. Like,
yeah.
You know, they're very. I feel like, well, your dreams are your inner thoughts. Also,
for sure.
You know.
Yeah. And I feel like those, like, I have a lot of dreams that, as batshit as they are, when I wake up, if I think about it, and sometimes I need a little help, like I'll check like 8 different places to be like, well, what does that represent?
Yeah, right?
And then once I know what it as like I've gotten at least a bunch of different places that all say it represents the same thing.
I know, right?
Now,
yeah,
like, where was I? Like, that room was my house back. How does that house feel to me? And then you could start to put together this picture of like what you're feeling, that maybe it, like, I've had dreams where like maybe it'll take someone very close to me and it'll make me in, like, maybe not confrontational, but some situation that gets me emotionally revved up with that person happens. The dream's not about that person. The dream's about someone else.
Exactly.
But I needed to experience it with that person, because I'm not willing in regular life to show that the one it's about really makes me feel as close as the one it needed to use to show me that I was feeling, you know, like things like that.
Or like that connection, like how you said, like, when you speak of past trauma and you speak of things of like your parents or certain things, or sometimes, like, say if you you're going through in a relationship or something with someone, and like your dream was something you went through with like your parent or something like that, like, could have just been showing that connection of like that trauma or that, like, the emotions, because your dreams are like when it's your inner thoughts, it's like your feelings, your emotions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
in the deepest of it,
right?
Like, definitely the deepest of it.
Exactly. It's like, because our minds are so deep. Like, our minds are crazy. Like, we have no idea. Exactly. You
Which, know what I mean? Like, there should be something to be said that, like, the most prescribed medications in the world are the ones that affect the brain, which we know the least about, and we also prescribe them like, oh, you have these issues, okay, so we're gonna give you this to fix those issues, except we don't look at how it affects your brain.
I'm honestly, like, big against medicine. Like, me going through treatment and stuff, that this is like the most time I've used medicine in my whole life, even pain medicine. Like, I don't like, I'm just not really big on medicine. Like, even with, like, and it kind of like it you know, there's just so many touchy subjects, because, like, you know, I had, like, for instance, like, my mom, we have a big disagreement on that. Like, she's all pro for medicines and feeling like people do need them and stuff, and it does make them better. And in my head, I'm like, I don't feel as though it does. I feel like it's something that is, like, you know, I'm that upset that I have to take hormones, right? Exactly, to the rest of my life, because it's not something that my body is naturally producing. You're putting something in me for my body to not be what it naturally is. You know what I mean? So I feel like, you know, we have traumas. There's certain people that just don't got the strength to get out of that trauma. So instead of acknowledging that and just understanding that and realizing it, I mean, I guess what could you do? I guess give them something or prescribe them something to not be who they are. That's basically what it is.
And when the doctor, the one that's supposed to be helping you, when the same organizations that make that drug make the books that he reads about in school, you're for a big fuck up.
Exactly, because, like, at the end of the day, people are people. That's just my outlook. Even when it comes to doctors, I mean, when my son was a baby, I remember he had, like, a little guck in his eyes, and, like, the doctor he had at the time was, like, prescribing, like, 2 different medicines for it, and I was like, and I took him to the doctor that I had when I was younger. She's like, old school remedy and stuff like that, and she was like, just take a warm cloth and wipe it out of his eye and he'll be fine. Yeah, and he was fine. Well, that's, you know what I mean? So, like, it's like, I think that's just like it's just like an easy way out. It's just like, it's like
a quick fix.
Yeah,
and
it's like
we live in a quick fix society.
You don't know what it's gonna do. You don't know what. Oh, okay, I know that this will do it, and that's fine. I know that will fix it. That's fine.
I mean, and sometimes
I think we live in more so of an illusion society. It's like it's creating an illusion. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, you're giving someone something to make them not what they are and who they are. You're creating an illusion of a person.
Yeah, that's why, like, a handful of fucking what are they called, cashews, is more effective than the leading antidepressant on the market. So a handful of cashews a day does better than the leading antidepressant. Most medications, a lot of it is placebo or numb out, and, like, you can't even knock the doctor sometimes, because but listen, I'm not saying they're not smart and they don't know a ton of shit, but every book that they read was made by basically the same companies that make the same companies that are being the fucking, that, what's that family that's getting taken down now for over prescribing the opiates, that Sackler family or whatever, that like billions of dollars, because they made like towns that had like 3,000 people in it would have like 300,000 opioid prescriptions,
but that's what I'm
and
saying.
They knew about it.
Yeah, see, this is when it all like just breaking down to like what I feel like my mission in this life,
that's part
in this
of
world
mine.
for is just like, at the end, people are people. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. There's good people and there's bad people, you know what I mean? And it's just like, that's why you have those people that are in those fields, you know what I mean? And there's some that help and that are good and that make you be like, damn, I don't want to say they're all bad. But then there's some that make you want to be like, I can't trust none of them. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and
it
experience is kind of a hard thing to, you know, you've gone through what you went through.
Exactly. Like, but they literally, it's just good and bad people. It's just, that's how I just feel like when like a job is a job at the end of the day. Even if your job is to help people, it's still a job. It's still something that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like some people just, I don't know, just that the good and the bad people. That's why I feel like the world needs more love right now. You know, I feel like the bad people are winning.
Well, the thing is that the more growth and enlightenment a person goes through, you end up understanding, okay, I had a lot of things twisted up. Here are the things that I know now are really important in life that I should focus on as a person, the community, who to have in my life, my health, etc. As you start doing the things that are better for you, you're going to pull away more and more from the things that aren't good from you, which also goes with dealing with the bullshit and dealing with the crowd and whatever. And when I was a kid, I remember saying to my brother, like, I feel like the world's going to shit, and a lot of the blame needs to also go on the good people because they stopped getting up and yelling about it. That's why I love like your Martin Luther Kings and your etc.
But because like we came, like there was a period though in time that if you see when like the Martin Luther Kings and like Gandhi and like all those people, like there was a time, you know, when it was needed for them to, you know. So I feel like right now, no, it's like we go into, there's a revolution, right? There's so many things that become recycled us as human beings. You know what I mean? We do what we know works, and we also try to do more as human beings, not putting a race or age or gender on it, just as human beings. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the good, you're right. The blame is on that. The blame is on people. I think that personally, my personal opinion on that is, I feel like a lot of it is people, the world. A lot of us as people are putting bad as good. You know, we're making people believe that you can go and do this, and before it was like you can go and do that and that's bad, that's wrong. Instead, in this world that we're living in now, you can go and do that and that's considered right and good. So it's not that, it's kind of like hypnotizing a good person, mind tripping a good person. You're a good person. If the world tells you this is good, you're gonna go by that because your natural heart is a good person. You're not really analyzing or looking at what's good or what's bad. You're just like, okay, that's good, I'm gonna fall in line. That's soldiers of the world, right? There's leaders and there's soldiers. You feel me? So that's like that. That's like those are those people. You know, and I feel like that it ultimately falls on all of us, good and bad. You know, the bad is winning, I say, because the bad is gained that much power to be able to mind trip good people and make them think what they're doing is good. You feel me?
I see you. Yeah.
So it's like,
and the line's incredibly blurry right now.
So
for the liberal side
but it takes is like we're just lacking that strength, that humanity. You know, those feelings that give power to the good. You know, we're lacking that, and we just gotta give more power to that good. We gotta give. When I'm talking about love power is good the most. Love power is good and bad. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But it gives good an upper hand. You know what I mean? It's like it powers good and bad, but it gives good has the upper hand when it comes to love. You know what I mean? And that's something that we're lacking so much. Like, you know, like how I said, you being to be like, oh, I like what you have on, and feel fine with that, and I feel like I can't even tell that person I like what they got on. You know what I mean? Like that right there, those little bit of things is what's like taken away from the love of like us as people. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the Gandhi, like, be the change you want to see in the world.
That's my favorite quote. I have that. That's what's tattooed on my side. It's in Italian because you know how to make it fancy. But that is what my tattoo is, and that's my favorite
There's
quote.
Like it's
like 3 times in my house.
Looks at all your pictures and like, how's he not zoomed in on a picture? And then read that shit.
It does. It says be the change you wish to see in the world, because like people, and it really is like, you know, that's why, like, I say, like, I try to be, like, I know I'm not perfect, you know what I mean? I get angry, you know, there's times that, like, I'll be like, oh, why me? But it's like, I want to be like that change. I want to be that love. I want to show that, you know what I mean? I know there's certain barriers that I have to break through of myself individually in order to be that, you know, but accepting that, I feel like is a big part to be able to do that.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so it's like, I want to show people that you can be this way. Like, you can be different. You don't have to be like your circumstances. You can literally grow up every single day and not have nothing to eat and nothing to put on your back. It could have been even other things. You could have grown perfectly fine and had everything on your back. But, you know, it's just that all that's okay. Like, you know, just the understanding, the acceptance, the love. Like, love comes from acceptance. Like, think about it. The people you're in a relationship with, nobody's perfect, but you end up loving them, and you end up still being there despite the things that you don't like of them because of the love that you have for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. People, that's the thing. People are lacking the love. That's why they're not able to see and understand the differences that we all have with each other. You know what I mean? Like that we could be different and still love each other.
Definitely.
Like, hello, that's how love has always been.
Because everyone's different.
Exactly. That's how love has always been. Even the people that are married and in relations for 30 plus years, they're not exactly the same. You know what I mean? I remember this one thing I actually seen, and I was like, oh, I like that. It was like a man, he was speaking of his life. He's like, I've been married 3 times, but to one woman. Like, basically saying, like, because he stayed with her that long to see the transitions of herself, or even of her seeing and him. Like, because we change as people.
And it's so important. Right. Like, all my favorite thought leaders are just people that kind of, I don't know, gain popularity in some sense, like the Martin Luther King, Alan Watts, Nipsey Hussles, like all the Gandhis, those types of people. Like, and we're on the cusp. I think there's a couple that are alive right now, but like the exciting thing about right now is, even when you don't think about it like that, is like any day now someone else is gonna pop up that is the next one of those. And like all of my favorite ones like that, all it comes down to, they're pushing a hustle motivate message of like, it comes down to the individual, right? So if you can become better as an individual, the world will, you're a node in a network, right? The world will become a better place when you are the change you want to see in the world. That'll have a ripple effect and everything else. And like, it will help change people. But like, first and foremost, like, everyone's, especially in America and social media, is so focused on everybody else. Like, if you focus on yourself, though. Yeah,
I think I'm sorry to cut you off right there. No, but I think like what the thing is, it's like, it's kind of like a mixture of that. It's kind of like everybody's focused on everybody else. But it's like in the wrong way of like of their self. So it's like it's a disconnection. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like, I was just literally saying this the other day of what I feel like. I feel like we went through the era where it was like whole, you know what I mean, community, this, that, and then like we've actually been in the era where it's like it's not whole, it's not community. People are only for themselves, but at the same time, it's, you think though everybody's trying to be like everybody else. Everybody's trying to be like everybody else, but at the same time trying to be themselves. That's a conflict of interest right there. You know what I mean? Like, we needed that power because we were becoming so much of a whole and so much of the community that we were losing ourselves individually. So we needed to like gain back that self power where it's like, me, I gotta do for me. Yeah. But then it got to the point where it's getting to the point where now it's so much of me. Nobody even know who me, and then there's no community and there's no whole. Yeah. You know what I mean? No more. So now it's like getting back that love.
And how do you know me? You know me via my Instagram posts?
Right.
You know me via...
Exactly. Or like people are trying to... Or the reason why there's so many people that's not them, or why there's the lack of love, or why bad I say it's taken good, is because if everybody's trying to be everybody, there's nobody being them. You know what I mean? Everybody's being an image or an illusion. That's why I go back into saying an illusion. Everybody's being an illusion of something. Nobody's actually being them. So how could we have anything that's real? How could we have anything that's love? How could we have anything if everybody's being an illusion? If when they step into a room, they're being what the image that they feel as though it has to be, or this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how could you too? And then you know what that causes? Because then they get upset and they be like, damn, I have nobody. I have no real friends. But homie, how could you have a real friend if you never show the real you to someone in order for someone to accept you for you? You know what I mean?
100%. Like, so I would much rather be honest than piss you off, make you love or hate me. Like, let's say I was being honest about how I felt and who I am, and you didn't like that. That is so much better than lying about who I am, and then that should blow up some way down the road in some way, whether it's just your self-worth for not being who you are, or them like assuming the wrong things of you. It's and like especially in like significant other type of relationships, it's like when the moment you, aside from how it affects all communication and sex, even about when you're not 100% yourself and honest with another person, it's just the wall gets put, and then that wall just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and then there's things that you're not willing to say to the other person, and that no wonder they don't understand you know. I'd rather be myself and maybe be too much for someone off the rip than lie about it, and then deep down later on I'm like, what the fuck, it's driving me nuts that I can't say how I feel.
And that's so true. And it's like, I can like honestly say that and express that now because growing up, I was like a people pleaser, you know, I was always a person that wanted to, you know, make sure, like I said, making sure everybody's good, making sure everybody's happy. So I feel like I was more so that person not being me, but not being me, like I was not being me as in a sense where it's more so like pleasing people, you know, so I understand. So like to say that, I understand though the strength, you know, that it takes though to not do that, to not be that, you know, and I understand that some people just don't got that strength, you know, I understand that. But it is a strength that is needed and it's something that everybody should work towards though, you know?
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
needed more than anything right now.
For sure.
We need people to be them more than they think, more than they know it.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Like literally.
And I mean, when you have like a rough, like we both had rough childhoods and we both almost died, so or like had a run-in with death like that, like those things give you they definitely give you a new look on the way you want to do shit.
Exactly. And everything happens for a reason. We're all put here for a purpose, you know what I mean? Sometimes we don't appreciate our purpose, and that's the thing. It's like I appreciate that it wasn't meant for me to know this knowledge 5 years ago for me to be able to have the mindset that I have now, knowing the knowledge or gaining the knowledge now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I understand that, and I accept that if I feel like my purpose is to be here for the people, I accept that the sacrifices that I will have to make in order to be here for the people. You know what I mean? I accept that. That's the thing. We don't accept a lot. Like, think about it. I'm just saying we don't accept things of one another. We don't accept things in ourselves. So it's like, how could you expect to do something for someone else that you wouldn't even do for yourself? Yeah. You know?
I, at a certain point in time, especially after the accident, I hit my head. I got thrown out of a whip, and it was a lot. But like after all of that, it was just like I was already too deep for the intro and already too much. That like my pressure cooker when I didn't get shit out or be the real me or be the type of person I thought like I should be in that scenario, it would bottle up too much. So there is no living life anymore that is not 100% honest. Like,
because that wasn't you. It wasn't meant for like you was able to withhold it for the time that you were able to, because it was meant for that. It was meant for you to be able to withhold it in that time period. It's
and
like,
when you go through shit when you're younger, you get great at putting on like a
very
fucking
good front. Like that. They're like, I'm
people
super...
would have no idea when I'm mad or no idea when I'm whatever. Just
oh my gosh.
resting bitch face to the fullest. I still got it. I used to have fucked up teeth too, so I'm not really a smiler like that. Like people like smiling pictures.
I'm smiling.
I'm the only one in the picture, just mouth closed, like
yeah.
But you get good at putting up the front, and like now I am the same person to my like. Yes, there's a professional time and place. There's there's slight ticks that I do to who I am when I'm sitting down here with you versus when I'm sitting down with someone in a business meeting at work and or making a product for you or something.
I feel like that's like I feel like what that is that's not being real to yourself. That's not taking away from who you are. I think that's having respect for one another. Having respect that like me sitting here chilling and talking like this with you may not be you. So we're both gonna have respect, and just how you would talk to me may not be that way. So we're gonna talk to each other in a respectable manner where, you know what I mean? It's a mutual way where we're talking to each other. I'm not talking to you in my slang. You're not talking to me in your slang. You know, that's just that respect. When business, I don't know. I'm a very true believer on business stuff. Free spirited, hippie as I am, business. I love it. I love business. You know, so I'm like, I respect business to the fullest. You know, I definitely respect it.
That was my first 7 years of corporate career was enterprise, billion-dollar companies. I was talking to CFOs that were like billion-dollar CFOs, and huge. This was like $1 million software that I was selling. So it's like it was much different. And then but I had to change up all that because there's a lot of other things in that role that I did not. It was more than just this is not me and I'm being professional. It was more like there are morals and values than ethics that are incorrect in order to do this job the right way. So what the fuck am I going to be like in 10 years if I keep following this?
No, business is one of the most corrupted. I mean, everything is a business. So anything that is a profit, especially anything that's a profit business, I just say anything that's a profit business. Like, come on, it's the most corrupted thing. It's like bad.
It's all profit.
I mean, think about it. I don't want to name any specific businesses or anything, but there's businesses that have been literally blatantly displayed to the public of how morally wrong they are.
Oh, yeah.
And they're still up and running in some of the top businesses making the most money. Like, you know what I mean? So business is dirty business.
Well, we made life so easy. Anytime you talk to someone outside of America, the number one thing that they say about America is just life is so easy. Like I have a friend in Italy that she was just telling me like, Like, we have no idea how good you have it. Like, just to go to the bank and run an errand in Italy versus in America or in fucking another part of Europe or in another part of South Asia or wherever.
Yeah.
It's just we've made life so easy. It's also probably why we're in like an outrage point, because soon enough we won't even be wiping our own fucking asses. So it's like when all of life was worried about like survival, and you don't need to worry about that anymore. You know what I'm saying?
That you said that. I'm sorry, because I like literally just last night, I just said we're losing our survival mode. I literally said that. Like, we're losing our... Yeah, I know, but it's like... what's that movie with the robot and all the...
with the what?
With the little robot and all... Everybody was like living on the spaceship, and they were all extra big, and they couldn't even get out of their seats. Like, the seats moved them around, and there was like no life on Earth, and then the robot ended up finding a plant.
I don't know if I saw it.
Oh my God, I wish I could remember
Have
the name
you seen
of it.
District 9 though? It's like the alien spaceship crash lands on the planet because basically, like, there was a few smart ones, but they've been evolving for so long that all the smart ones are gone. So, like, who built the ship and everything like that? There's only a few of them left. The rest are just fucking idiots. So they end up crash landing on Earth and just eating cat food and shit. It's just like the perfect explanation of like when you make life so easy, then like, because think about it, if the power goes out for too long and we don't got calculators,
I think
restarting over is gonna be difficult.
You know what? That's the mind though. The mind is powerful, and like the mind always. So this is how like people that what is it called when people do the like oh man, I hate when I forget something. Oh my god, when they be like the world's gonna end. What do you call those people?
Oh, like the people that prep for
I can't think of it. There's a specific word, but like, oh man, I can't think of it. Dang it, I lost everything I was gonna say now.
Apocalypse preppers, I don't know, something like that.
Oh man, what was I saying before? Oh man, I'm losing my whole thought.
There's when people like the types of people that kind of freak out like everything's gonna end. I don't know.
I lost it. It was so good. I lost it.
It's all good. It'll come back at a hilarious time. It always does. It's in your brain somewhere.
Exactly. Oh, the mind. I was talking about the mind.
There you go.
So the mind always needs food for thought. So conspiracy theorists.
Okay.
Conspiracy theorists, right? So they always have this, they always have that, right? So my conclusion with that is like the reason why it only goes so far with conspiracy theories is because food for mind, right? So when you think, you're realizing something happens and you're like, wait, something's not right. Your mind starts thinking a little bit harder, right? But like, let something be given like, oh no, it wasn't right because I actually forgot to put the tape on that table. So your mind doesn't think further, right?
Yeah.
Because it had a little bit of food for thought. So it eased your mind.
Yeah.
Now, if nobody said that, your mind's going to still be thinking, okay, but how did that get there?
And then start picking a bunch of random shit. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like food for mind.
It doesn't help that some conspiracies are true, though, too. Well, That's the thing.
I feel like, I'm completely agreeing with that. I'm saying, I said,
are you a conspiracy theorist?
I'm just saying, I'm psychic. I'm an empath and everything. But no, I'm just saying, like, how they like that food for thought that... How like people becoming lazy or not want to do everything. It's like that kind of like the mind getting like retrained in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of even when they're saying like how you're speaking of like when the power goes out. Not that many people even know how to go down to the basement and do the little.
The breakers.
I don't even know how to look. I'm like, you hear me speaking of it like do the little. I've never been a technology person or any electrician. Yeah, that's never been. I really am in the olden days where, but like so it's like, but it's because certain things. I would sound like a conspiracy.
Way better.
I would sound like a conspiracy theorist right now.
When survival's on the line, I do way better. Like, all right, so if I'm in a room with a bunch of people and there's like, as a random example, and like the group of people are all doing something together. Maybe we're all going to go out to this location or we're trying to figure out what to do or anything like that. I'm generally pretty like laid back. Like I'll let like even if it was just some asshole idiot that's like, oh, let's go do this, and I'm like, this is fucking retarded. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not whatever. Like that's not important. But if the power goes out or the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm the alpha man in the room immediately teaming up with the other alpha males. Like, you know what you're doing? Okay, we're going to use and like, I'll have no problem being like, I'll fucking throw you out to the wolves. Like,
that's good.
And it's easy for me. Like,
that's good.
Yeah, like, so,
thrown out to the wolves,
like, well, I just mean like when survival mode turns on, like it's easy for me to get in it. I'm less in it when there's no like there's nothing at cost.
I feel like though,
like serious situations, I do great in.
Yeah, I feel like our survival mode is kind of being like retrained though. So like survival is something, it's a natural instinct. So you'll always have survival mode. But like I feel like when I say like our survival mode is being retrained, and the reason why we're having that feeling that we're losing our survival mode is because it's like surviving for the wrong things. We're not surviving for life anymore. We're surviving for other things. You know what I mean? As in a sense where we're doing things where our life doesn't matter. So we're surviving and doing things. We're putting survival instincts to things that have nothing to do with our life.
So it shouldn't even be. So it's not even necessarily your survival instincts are being retrained. It's like your instincts are being retrained because it's not about survival anymore.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
it's about other things.
Well, no, it's survival. I still put
it's survival, but it's not life and death.
It's not life survival.
Yeah, right. It's not like it's like, what am I going to go to the grocery store and buy? Right. Not like I'm worried about whether or not I'm going to eat enough food.
Right, exactly.
It's much different.
Right, exactly.
Much different.
Exactly.
It's not like this person might kill me. It's like they're being rude and I'm trying to figure out how to like function in this community and this group of people or whatever.
It's crazy.
And it's not it's real because this is where we play now, but it's not real. It doesn't really matter. Exactly. I mean, that's part of why so you'd probably really love it. Do you read books?
I do.
You probably really love this book called Tribe by Sebastian Junger. So they bring up a really valid point that I never really thought of before. And just because there's an alarming amount of people that go away in the army, whatever, and go into a war scenario that never get to the front lines, nor to see anything crazy happen, but still experience heavy amounts of PTSD when they come back. A few reasons for that. Some of them are just the shock waves that they're experiencing or bouncing their brains around and giving them CTE, so they are going through shit when they get back and they have no idea. Other reasons, though, is when's the last time that you slept and ate and we're with people the entire time, where even if I don't really like Kiara and she kind of pisses me off sometimes, when we're out there, I'm watching her 12 o'clock and she's watching my 6, and we might die if we're not doing our jobs together. And it's a community. So you come back into this world where the cashier's being a bitch to you. You could barely get a fucking decent career that means something to you. You don't see anybody or talk to them regularly. It's like the PTSD is a PTSD of stripping of community. And that's a big thing that people are going through now. And what you see, that's why people I just want to go back. They use all the time. Your soldiers, they have a family at home or whatever, and you're like, why the fuck do they want to go on another deployment or whatever? But it's more their community that they're in is not here.
Exactly, because they don't have that though. I've noticed that there's just people that just don't got that. All it takes is just having sometimes all you need is just that one person. You know what I mean? We're humans. I think that's the part we forget that we're humans. Despite what our gender is, our ethnicity, or our age, we're human. It's the one thing that no matter what, we will all have alike.
We evolved around other people. You know what I mean?
We will all have that similarity. We will all have that same thing in common with each other. There's no way none of us cannot be a human and be human. You know what I mean? So that's the one thing. It's we forget that. We focus on all these differences and
a lot
of
people never even were made aware, it's a different world.
We're human, right?
Well, not that, but the evolutionary biology aspect in psychology. I love it.
Right, exactly. Your humanity. I feel like your humanity is what makes you human. You're not a robot. A robot is a human without its humanity.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have our humanity. You know, our minds being retrained as in who knows, this whole conspiracy theorist, right? With robots, all these robot movies is more so us turning into robots.
We're in a fucking matrix. So we're already in one. Remember,
story of my life. I live in the matrix.
But there's even this principle. I forget the name of it. But that's there's a reason why most people can, not that you can't know more than 150 people, but you could only really maintain about 150 relationships where you actually know the people in and out. And it's because throughout all of human evolution, we started evolving in these packs, tribes, these groups. So it is built into us not only to wake up and eat and live with a group of other people, but also those groups tended to not be that big until a certain time in humanity. Right, so it's just now there's more people than ever that don't know who the fuck lives next door to them, that don't don't even wave at each other, let alone know their names or anything that's not how we evolved. We evolved in the
exactly it's okay. You know what? I'm happy that you're saying that because I think it's one of the things I don't know kept popping in my mind. Change is good. Change is good. Change is good. I've promoted change a lot, but some things don't need to be changed. You know, and I think that's like a big thing is like some things really don't need to be changed. Like that saying, don't fix it if it's not broken. Like, you know, so like some things don't need to be changed. Like there are things that we should be evolving in as humans, but then there's also some things that are perfectly fine. There was no reason for things to be touched or changed. You know what I mean?
You get going in this 2020 world with the jobs and whatever.
But that's being caught up in the fast life. That's just something that we
it is,
we
but
do
like the kids nowadays, is it caught up in the fast life if they never had a community in the first place?
I think,
after school, what communities do you have when you're not involved?
I think nowadays it's not. I mean, if you think about it, there are things that have changed, but there are also some things that definitely have not changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as in, for instance, like kids that grown up in certain areas, you know, like for instance of where I grew up, you know, there's that certain things haven't changed. Like, you know, they're still not having that support or having those extracurricular activities and stuff to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is still in a sense getting caught up in life, even though certain things are so different now, like with social media, with certain things. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just I don't know, it just emphasizes certain things more.
More the reason to be a good parent, right?
Right, exactly. More the reason why it's so hard. You know, but it's what, oh my God. I think of that like just the other day.
You love that book, you gotta read that book.
Yeah, because like, no, for it does, like just the other day, there was this kid, he's like an artist and stuff. And he's really good, like he's really talented. And it was like me and someone else, and we were just expressing like, shared to him like, oh, like you really take talented, just showing like giving him his flowers, how they say it, right? Like letting him know how he's good, like, you know. Yeah. And he was just like you just feel it from him, his energy, that, you know, he appreciated so much, because like that's not something that is so common, like, you know, that's not common anymore, to just get to give that support and to give that love, or you know what I mean, like,
well, this isn't common anymore,
right? Exactly. Like, a lot of things aren't, but you know, so I think that, I don't know, it's just like some things need to be changed and some things need to be changed, like that I don't know, man, just going back on the youth, we gotta change for our kids, we gotta change for the youth, for all of our kids, man. Like, this is
a good thing. I mean, it really starts with a conversation, like it really does. Like, I don't know about you, but I'll feel great after you leave for the rest of the day. For the next couple days, I'll be on a vibe, because I'm doing 3 this weekend, so I'll be on a vibe and just having some interaction that's nothing like is getting in the way, and just actually like we don't get that with no disruptions anymore, like
but it does, like you said, like it takes a starting point. Like I feel like I had to learn like this whole big thing of like, oh, me trying to change the world, me trying to add more love into the world, me trying to do this, me trying to do that. I had to like kind of like I had to remind myself of the, like, yes, that's the bigger picture, always pay attention to the bigger picture, but I had to remind myself of the smaller picture and the things that make up the bigger picture, you know what I mean? It's like not realizing the like 1 or 2 people that I could be there for right now. You know what I mean? Even though I'm trying to change the world, I'm trying to change a majority or a good amount of people, I gotta realize the people that I could actually help right now, you know, that or the people that, you know, from me sharing like my story and going through the cancer stuff, certain people that reached out to me that I didn't know I was already helping, you know, that showed that to me, was like, oh damn, I'm sitting here trying to like help the whole world and not even realizing people that I'm already helping, you know what I mean? And it's like we do need that, so it does just take the starting and like doing it, and not like, you know, it's like I don't know how I can put this into words.
I kind of feel like it's a little bit at a time, and it's less about, like, there's always that big goal that is in front of you that you're going after. And it's good to have some established, something that you're running towards, even if you change the direction that you run, but something to run towards, because it takes less anxiety and more anxiety out of your day-to-day, because yes, at least I know the direction that I'm running in, but then on your day-to-day, there's some bases that we need to cover here, okay? Like health, sleep, you know, the relationships you have with other people, and it's being able to, it's not like I'm gonna do this crazy big thing all at once. It's finding a routine that like gives a little bit of love to the right people on every single day. It's always about balance. It really is about balance.
It really is.
Definitely.
It really is. Balance is key. It really is. Like good and bad. Like I love yin and yang. Yin and yang too. Like, you know, so I truly believe, like that's what I say when I say positivity and stuff. I truly believe in you need both good and bad. I really truly believe that. You know what I mean?
Definitely do.
But I do truly believe you can't have too much bad and you can't have too much good. For sure. Imbalance. You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen the show Marco Polo? No,
No,
it's
but
one
I
of the
know the
greatest.
game Marco Polo.
Okay, no. Once you see the show, you're gonna be like, "Whoa, he's a G," and I always just thought he's some weird dude in the pool.
Yeah, I know, right? Marco Polo.
But there's this part where he's being trained by like the most fucking savage monk, like Shaolin monk, and the monk's just been like, right when he starts training him, it's just like, you have an overabundance of yin and not enough yang. Like that's gonna fuck you on the battlefield. He's like, I'm here to even you out and like
Right.
teach you, give you some yang. So like, you got too much yin,
Right.
like someone wants to take your head, you're off with it. But
gone.
the best warriors are always the one that practice poetry, that practice music, dance,
exactly,
everything.
'cause
Have a
there's
little bit of it all.
balance,
Yeah.
right,
And like
like-
once you learn something in one thing, you can broadly apply it to
Right.
everything else. So that goes for fighting, that goes for having a
Right.
conversation.
Exactly.
You get better in having a conversation, you get better in how you fight. You get better in
Right.
how you fight, you get better in how you
Right.
play basketball.
Exactly.
Whatever the fuck it is.
Exactly. It's like Tai Chi. You know Tai Chi? Like how when they do that, like it's when it's actually in action though, it's
Yeah.
fast. But when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing it, it's slow. It's
Yeah.
actually feeling, knowing your body, knowing your moves, knowing how when you do move it fast, how it's going to play out. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like
in a
so-
really funny way. I think of Conor
Right, I know,
McGregor
right?
when he walks out on the stage and he's just showing you, I'm loose as fuck right now in this
Right.
moment where I'm about to beat the shit out of someone. Yeah.
So that like, you know, it's cool. It's true. Balance. I mean, I feel like that was a big thing of like that I needed. It was balance. Getting my balance back. Like everybody like right now, that's my like number one response when everyone's like, how you doing? I'm like, you know, just still trying to get my balance, still trying to get everything back balanced, you know?
It's always like that.
All right,
though.
you know,
It's
trying to
kinda
get it all
always like
balanced.
that.
That's all. Just trying to get it balanced. Trying to get it. That's all.
So what does the next year look like for you? What are you trying to do?
Man.
What are the carrots you're gonna run towards? What are those things? Even if they're gonna change them a little bit.
I think
Nothing?
everything exactly. I think everything exactly how I've been doing it is more so my mindset that needed to be a little bit more structured, like I said, and my mindset just needed to be a little bit more.
But that's
more
that's
balanced,
great
yeah.
because most people are still running around trying to figure out what they want to do, not already doing it and just focusing their time on getting better
Exactly.
at it.
No, my mission is still the same. Still the same. My goals are still the same. You know, it's just
Word.
now I have a better mindset going into like, you know, implementing.
That's good. You seem like you're in a good spot. You're
Yeah.
radiating. So
I'm
that's
trying.
good.
Don't get me wrong. I have days still that are like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I get upset at myself. You know, that's why I say we're human. I totally get it. I totally understand it. You know, and people just have days because like we all have days. You know,
Yeah.
we all do. It's about getting out of those days and not staying stuck in those days. Because oh man, you go crazy if you stay stuck in those days.
Yeah, I feel like I've been saying this a lot actually real recently, how like as I've gotten older, falling down doesn't hurt any less, but I sure as hell could stand up a lot fucking faster.
Right.
A lot faster.
Right. Exactly.
And that's important, right? Shit's still gonna hurt. You're still
Right.
gonna get knocked
But you gotta learn
down,
to
but
keep
you're
going.
way more put together in
Right.
like every aspect, mentally, physically. I mean, if you just starting to eat a little bit better, you have no
Right.
idea how much that's helping you
Exactly.
mentally
No, it
and everything
does.
else. And
It really
you know,
does.
it's your
And being
injuries
around
aren't
the
just
good
physical.
people, being around good
Oh,
energy,
for
like
sure.
I feel like when like speaking of this like protecting your energy, it definitely is I feel like it's very true. It's not just one of those things. It's just like, oh, protect your energy, protect your energy. Like it's true because like we don't see how much like others influence us. You know, that's why society is the way it is right now because we have so much of a big influence on each other. You know what I mean? So when we surround ourselves with certain influences that are not the best influence, that even if we don't agree with them or we be like we're not going to do that, we don't even see how it's still affecting us because we're still around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we kind of brought this up earlier too. So have you ever heard, not this, but I'll get to it. So you ever heard of Yogananda?
No.
So Yogananda is this Indian dude, like very enlightened being. He brought yoga to the United States. It's crazy. You could actually watch a documentary on him, everything.
wow.
This is back in like the 50s and shit. It's why we have yoga. Yoga is a form of movements to do before meditation. That's what it was always made for, right? And a form of getting aligned, aligning your body and
Yeah.
everything before you go into meditate. You know, it's good to do that before meditating. So anyways, there's this part, and he was around in a time where like popular culture was coming up, so you could watch these videos. And there's this basketball player, famous basketball player at the time, this big black dude talking to this little Indian guy, and he's like, yo, so everyone always tell me not to go fuck as many women as I want and have sex and do drugs and this and that. You're telling me that I could still go down there and do all that, and that's cool if I come up here and I want to do this and meditate and do yoga and everything? Then Yogananda comes, I'm paraphrasing, of course. Yogananda comes in, he's just like, what I am telling you is that, in whatever his Indian accent, is that you can go down there, you could do that as much as you want, but let me warn you, as you keep practicing this, if you keep doing these things, let me warn you that you will no longer want to be going and doing those things. And I love that little conversation, because as I've begun to implement better people in my life, better practices, better health, my taste buds change. You don't want salad tastes better. Healthy things are so much better, that the things that once you were attracted to based off of impulse or whatever else it was are no longer. The taste in your mouth changes for the better things.
Absolutely.
And that goes for people, and that goes for food, and that goes for everything else. So like, as you start to implement these little things, it's just a little thing that you're changing today. It's like, when you look at, like, you change the angle 1 degree, and you look at that plane a few years later, it's in a completely different place than it would have been normally. Like, and it just keeps getting like that. You compound, and you just keep getting better and better and better. So you're grinding out. How can people like find you and shit like that? If do you want photographers to be reaching out? And I'm sure I wanted to ask you, actually, hang on. Do you get sketchy situations where like it's totally a dude who's just trying to fuck that's got a camera?
You know what? I try to I'm very smart. I'm very thankful that I'm smart. I'm not saying that other people aren't smart. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that I've had like really good intuition on certain stuff like that. So, and I say that like really, like I'm thankful. I haven't really had
that's good.
Some like creepy stories. I really haven't. I've had friends that have.
Fair warning.
So that's why I'm thankful that like definitely. But any upcoming models and stuff like that, always do your research. Always do your research. Always like make sure you know who you're working with. And I always like suggest hitting up someone that you've seen they worked with before. If you don't see there's no one they worked before, that should be a sign right there. Maybe don't work with them. Like also like if it's like someone you've just met and first time, like have someone come with you if you can, or all like it always safety first before anything. You know, a dream's not worth it if you can't live it.
That's for sure. Right. Yeah. That's some of the times I'm like happy I'm a dude. It's like
I know you gotta be careful too. I have a son. I'm like I don't take that I don't take that lightly. Like I feel like things can happen to him just as much
for sure, especially at woman, sex. You know what I mean? Definitely.
So it's like no, of course that's what paranoia is. Of course.
But so what you mainly just go hard with Instagram? Any other places people could find you?
I do right now. I'm still working on my website, which is so delayed. It should be like 3 years
Every time people Google my podcast, you find it on 8 other websites that isn't mine because I don't have a website yet. It drives me nuts. My content gets bit all over the place, and like all the work doesn't get shown because all the editing is camera.
So, that's the mission then. That's the mission. Website, come on.
Yeah, website's coming. Trust me.
Yes, me too. Website's coming too. Kiara Monique. Bam.
Word. And then Instagram's Kiara Monique.
KiaraMonique.m. Just Kiara, that's actually my real name.
Look at that. How perfect is that fucking timing? I knew it. I'm so good. I was like, that shit's gonna go off any minute, and I gotta pee. So when I start turning, I don't know. I gotta pee. Okay, so Kiara Monique. Any other places that you want people to find you at? We'll definitely do another one of these. We'll do like a year check-in, see how it goes. Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to get, I want it to the point where like you go and look at the page and it's like, if you're from Boston, you know someone somehow that's in their thing that's come on. So you got to give me a referral. Doesn't have to be now. But you got to give me a referral because I like it to be if I know you and rep you, or I've met you and rep you, or my brother, or someone I have on. That's the only way I'm going to have people on is through other good people. So I keep the vibe.
I can get some referrals.
Yeah, especially if they got a craft that they're grinding on.
I got you. I got one for you. Got something for you.
Already? You go ahead and shout it out now.
Because I know so many people. I mean, I've connected with a lot of people. So I definitely would refer someone that, has a craft in the town, whatever they're doing things, but also like life.
Yeah.
I thought it was a big thing. And to just kind of get that push to show, like, you can go through some crappy things, but you can come out like, bam.
Yeah. What's this, 1 or 2 years since we met? Like we probably met about. Yeah. It was cold out.
I was like, I think because it definitely
year.
wasn't 2019, right?
So it was a year.
It was like
Maybe the end of 17 or something. It's funny how things work out.
Yeah, I know, right?
I
It's
got
crazy.
people now in Boston coming on talking about people that I met through people in New York City when I was
Yeah.
down there, and like it's such
the
a
universe
small
works in
world.
mysterious ways.
Such a small
Oh,
world.
yeah.
But thank you very much for coming. I'll throw up
Thank
your
you for
social. I'll
having
throw
me.
some of your pictures, Kiara. I appreciate you.
Spirit fingers.
Yeah, woogie. That's rocket power right there.
Oh, rocket fire!
Right? Yeah, that shit is awesome. Thank you.
My ears are sweating.
I know, mine too. They're gonna come
Now
on
it
like,
sounds
"These
all
are wet."
different.
Let me hit the bathroom.
Okay, the next one. It's one of the most important things you've learned along the way. One of the most important things I've learned along the way is to always stay true to yourself and to trust your process. Trust yourself. Stay true to yourself.